Well, I was at Springer and Lang in the late 1980s. I got to work on the case of Evelyn Mines. It was a sexual harassment case. And it was the case that was the subject of Charlize Theron's movie North Country. The movie really depicted the harassment of the women in the mines very accurately. The legal part, not so much. The lawyer in the movie was played by Woody Harrelson, and you didn't get to see the other lawyers who worked on the case and everything that went on. But the facts of that case were pretty accurately depicted. These women got jobs in the mines in northern Minnesota, and the men resisted. And it wasn't clear why they were so upset about having women working with them. One of the things they said was that they were taking jobs away from men who were supporting their families, even though these women were often single mothers or people who were largely responsible for supporting their kids. So it was a very ugly situation for these women, and it was not only uncomfortable, it was dangerous, some of the tricks they pulled on the women and some of the awful things they did to them. So I got to go up to northern Minnesota in January and depose some of the managers of the mine. And the mining company didn't have any sexual harassment policies. It said it had a sexual harassment policy because it had a policy that said no horseplay, but that doesn't really cover sexual harassment very well. So I was 6 months pregnant, and I go up to northern Minnesota to take the depositions of some of these managers in the mines, and most of them had never seen a woman lawyer before, and felt pretty uncomfortable. And I'd be in the room with the court reporter, opposing attorney, and the manager of the mine. And I talked to one guy, his name was Nick, and I went through all of the pictures that we recovered from the lockers in the offices, and I would describe the pictures, and he'd sort of resist my description of them, but he begrudgingly agreed that they showed pretty outrageous things and very offensive things. And finally, toward the end of the deposition, I said, "Didn't anyone ever tell you that this was not appropriate behavior in a workplace?" And he said, "No." And then he said, "Oh, well, one person did." And I said, "Who is that?" And he said, "Corky Krollman." And I said, "Well, what did Corky Krollman say?" And he said, "To clean up my act." And at that point, the opposing counsel's head sort of went down on the desk, and he thought that he was really hoping that deposition was over at that point. But it was a terribly interesting case to see how the mining company defended it, and it ended up being the first sexual harassment case that was certified as a class action in the country. And one of the things I remember, it went up to the 8th Circuit before it finally settled, and the 8th Circuit decision said these women were violated in the workplace, and they were also violated by the courts.